Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm coming at you with another foundation review. This is not a new foundation by any means, but I had mentioned hauling it in my Sephora VIB sale, and a lot of you said that you wanted me to do a review on it. So we are going to do a review on the Tom Ford Traceless Foundation Stick. Now before we get into that, if you're new to my channel, my name is Mandy. I post 2 beauty related videos every week. I love foundation, I love reviews, I love skincare, I love reviews, and I love like get ready with me type thing. So if that's the kind of stuff you like watching, be sure and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you're interested to see how this Tom Ford Traceless Stick Foundation works on my skin, then just keep on watching. Okay, this is Tom Ford, y'all. That screams luxury. It is expensive. It is, let me look it up, because they raised the price since I originally started looking at this foundation, which I feel like they've raised everything in the Tom Ford line. I'm not sure when, but I know I only paid $80 for my quads, and I think they're $85 now. But that's the way of the world and everything. They're going to raise the price of everything but salaries. So this retails for $85. It is 0.5 ounces, which is pretty typical of a stick foundation. You're never going to get, I'm not going to say never, but in all the stick foundations I've ever tried, I've never seen one that comes in a full ounce. It's almost always 0.5 ounces or less. And it comes in, from what I can see, 19 colors, which is so odd to me. I wish they would just make it 20, but 19, and I'm in the color 6.5 or 6.5 Sable. So it is a chunky stick foundation compared to some of my other ones. For example, the Bobbi Brown stick foundation, you can see the difference in packaging. The Bobbi Brown does only have 0.3 ounces where this has 0.5, but 0.2 ounces is not going to warrant that big of a jump in packaging. But I think Tom Ford just wants to be big and noticeable, and it is. So it is just a typical stick foundation, rolls up. This is the color, like I said, 6.5 Sable. I do find it to be a good match for my skin right now. As a whole, I'm not a fan of stick foundations. I've tried the Makeup Forever, which I feel is a little too dewy. The Hourglass stick foundation, which didn't work for me. The Anastasia one did. I don't tend to reach for it that much though. The Bobbi Brown does, but it is also very dewy. The Lancome stick foundation did not. I did not like that one. So, you know, typically I don't tend to gravitate towards stick foundations. The coverage for this is medium, at least it claims it is. Skin type says sensitive, normal, dry, combination, and oily. I talk about whether I believe that in the finishing thoughts, and it claims that the finish is matte. I hope that I'm staying in focus in this, y'all. My autofocus is really playing me lately. Real quick, it says this unique cream foundation formula features the nourishing Tom Ford Infusing Complex. The portable stick format achieves versatility and application for sheer, medium, or full coverage, which obviously means that they claim it's buildable, while remaining beautifully natural and undetectable. When used as a concealer, it swiftly hides imperfections, leaving a matte finish. I'll go ahead and say I have not used this as a concealer, so I cannot speak to it for that. I'm only going to be speaking about the foundation results today. As always, I always encourage you to look at ingredients. I'm reading, that's why my eyes are down this way, to make sure that there's nothing in there that's going to hurt your skin if you're particularly sensitive to something. I will say that upon looking, there is no alcohol and or fragrance in this, which are the 2 things that I tend to look for the most in foundations. So that's a huge plus for me, having no alcohol and no fragrance. So that's all the claims and all the information about the foundation. If you want to see how it works on my skin and my final thoughts, then let's get into that part of the video. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply. I don't have a primer on, and I don't think I'm going to use a primer today. I want y'all to be able to see how it works without one, but I do need to color correct. So I'm going to use my Giorgio Armani color corrector real quick, because it must be the allergies or I don't know, but my dark circles are struggling lately, and I've got this vein that popped up right here out of nowhere, and I'm hoping it's just staying for vacation, and we'll decide to go home soon because I really don't want it to be there forever. All right, now let's get into the actual foundation. Let's zoom you in just a little bit. So I've already shown you the packaging, and I've probably already told you my color, but I'm 6.5 Sable. For some reason I didn't. I tend to like to use brushes with stick foundations, but I may or may not go back in with a sponge. I have tried this with a sponge, and I do feel like the brush just works a little bit better. I feel like the sponge, as sponges typically do, picks up a little too much product. So if we want to take a look at my skin real quick before we do any foundation. So I have my typical redness going down in the line. I think it's a little bit more prominent on this side today as it is this side. My face is very fickle and it doesn't choose sides, so it could be completely opposite tomorrow. But I have one little clogged pore that I popped probably when I shouldn't have. And so it's just a tiny little red spot, but it's not really noticeable. So other than my redness, there's not a ton to cover up. I tend to use, if we can see this little sunspot right here, as my barometer as to how full coverage a foundation is. So we will see how it covers that up. But what I do is I just take it and I start by applying 3 stripes on the side of my face. So if you can see the color of the foundation there. And then, like I said, I will start out with a brush. Today I'm going to be using the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfector number 7. Heavenly Luxe. I think I said Luck. Heavenly Luxe. And I will just start stippling it in. This is how I do liquid foundations too. I just prefer to stipple versus rub, at least at first, so I don't compromise the coverage. So basically I'm just pressing it in while also mixing the stripes together to blend it all into the skin. And I probably could have stopped blending like 20 seconds ago because that's how fast the foundation blends into the skin. Right off the bat, no foundation. Foundation. Looking straight ahead, the main difference that I see is the color. I don't see foundation sitting on my skin, which is a-okay with me. I don't want to see foundation sitting on my skin, so the only difference being the color is a good sign for me because I don't feel like my actual skin looks much different on this side than it does on this side. So this side does have a little bit more redness today, as you saw, so we're going to see how it does in covering that up. Okay, so that's, and I'm going to take it down on my neck, but that is the foundation on this side. So I can still see right there the line of my redness, but it covered it up to where the color is even and uniform, and that's really what I care about the most. If you can see like a mark where my redness ends or stops, I'm okay with that because in order to actually cover that, it requires way too much full coverage or way too much foundation in general, and I'm just not like for that kind of cakiness on my face. But because they claim that this is buildable, I am just going to put one more stripe right there and see if that will build up to cover, and it does. Did you see that? Like if I really had to look, I've got this hair, I could still see it, but that did build up nicely on top of itself without being cakey. I always take foundation onto my neck because right here there is a line that delineates my neck from my self-tan. I didn't turn my phone off. And because I do skincare on my neck and I do exfoliate my neck, I don't self-tan it because there's no point. So I always take whatever foundation I'm using down my neck. I always kind of tend to rate a foundation as to how well it blends on my nose because I think in general all of us have the biggest issue with foundation on our nose, whether it's blending it out or making sure it stays on throughout the day. This one, even with a lot of my liquid foundations, when I use a brush, I still need to go in with a sponge afterwards to blend it on my nose. This one I don't. Like, it blended absolutely perfectly over my nose. Now that I have that all blended in, let's see what we think about the actual finish. Now the description claims that it's a matte finish. I don't find that it's a matte finish. Like, okay, yes, my skincare, I use a hyaluronic acid and an SPF that has a tiny bit of a glow, although the SPF I used today was more matte than my normal UV elements from Ulta MD, so you saw when I didn't have any makeup on. I don't feel like it mattified that, which I'm good with because, you know, I'm not really looking for a flat matte foundation. However, I don't think that it accentuated it either. So I would venture to say this is not a matte finish foundation, but a natural finish foundation. But I am not going to build it up other than that one spot that I did. I don't think I do, so I don't think I need to. So I did 3 stripes on each side, 1 stripe on the forehead, 1 stripe down the nose, and then I did my neck. Which, you know, you would, kind of seems like a lot, but it's really not, especially compared to how much I have to use in other stick foundations that I've tried in order to get the coverage that I desired. So I'm okay with that. I have used this, goodness gracious, probably 10 to 12 times now, and it's all the way rolled down, so that's all I've used. So that gives you an indication of the fact that you really aren't using a ton of product each time in order to get this type of coverage. So I'm going to finish up my makeup and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've finished my makeup and I have a frog in my throat apparently. I used the Hourglass Veil setting powder today. A couple things to note. I feel like I went a little heavy on the blush. It's a new blush that I'm trying and didn't realize it was that pigmented. But a couple things I want to point out that I thought about as I was doing my makeup. When I use concealer with this, a lot of times I feel like attracts like when it comes to makeup. So like powders will blend better over powders, liquids blend better over liquids, and creams blend better over creams. Typically. But I found that every liquid concealer that I used with this blended into the foundation absolutely flawlessly. I had no issue with that. I didn't use a cream bronzer today, but I have used one with it and nothing picks up as I use a cream or a liquid. So again, no matter which format I use, it does blend over it really nice. So I'm not going to go through all the notes that I did. All I'm going to tell you is that I have used countless powders and countless primers with this, and I don't have a favorite because they all work so well with this foundation. And like I said, I don't have a primer on today. I'm going to do a close-up in a minute. But I don't really feel like you need one. Now, if you're super oily, yes, I do, because I feel like this does stay all day for me, but I find that it gets a little bit more luminous throughout the day. It's not enough to where I feel like I need to touch up, but I do feel like it doesn't for sure stay matte throughout the day at all. So let me zoom you in. My eyes are kind of blurry. I don't know why. Okay. So honestly, like, okay, this, if you can see my pores, which I'm sure you can, this is just what my pores look like. I find that even when I use like a pore filling primer, it doesn't really change it that much. A little bit, some primers, but this is just the way my pores look, and I'm okay with that. It didn't accentuate them at all, which is important. But the most important thing is that I don't feel like there's a lot of obvious foundation on my skin. Obviously, I have makeup on. Okay, whenever I say that, I never want to insinuate it doesn't look like I have makeup on. Duh, I have makeup on. It doesn't look like I have cakey makeup on, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. So, as I sniff, because the allergies are so bad. So, I'm not going to do a check-in today because, quite honestly, I don't really have time, and I don't want this to be a 20-minute video, even though it might be already. But I'm going to go over like the main points that I know y'all are going to care about. What kind of skin do I think this is going to work best on? I think it's going to work best on dry to normal to combo skin. I think if you have super oily skin, you may want to stay away from this because it is so blendable and so creamy that I feel like might tend to slide off throughout the day. I don't know. I don't have oily skin. I have not used this on a client, and I don't plan to since I've already compromised the sanitation on my skin. But if any of you have oily skin and you have tried this and liked it or didn't like it, please let us know down in the comments. This is just my thoughts on the foundation. I just don't know that if you have super oily skin, you're going to like it. But I think that even if you have combo and you prime accordingly, you can get this to work for sure. How long it lasts on my skin, I find it lasts all day and I don't need to touch up with it. I have some other foundations that will last all day, but I will need to go in and just put a little bit of powder because they're getting a little shiny. Even though I have normal skin, I mean, it's hot outside and I sweat. So even when I do that now, I still feel like it holds up very nicely. So it lasts a good long while. I've had this on for up to 18 hours and I didn't have an issue with it. What else are you gonna want to know? Do I think you need to set it? Yes. I personally think you need to set all cream foundations, period. No matter what kind of skin you have. Even if you're super dry, creams do tend to slip around more than liquids and obviously powders. So I do think you need to set a cream foundation. And finally, I know people are going to ask me, is this worth the money? I think that that's a loaded question. And I say that because I believe it's only worth the money if you can afford it. This is not something you need to go out and be like, oh man, I'm really pinching pennies right now and I really can't afford it, but Mandy said she liked it. It looks really good. I really want it. I'm going to get it. No. If you cannot afford this foundation, do not go get it. It's okay if you can't buy it. There are plenty of other amazing foundations out there that are way more affordable. But I don't want to suggest anybody get themselves in a bind financially to buy any makeup product at all, but especially this foundation, since that's what I'm talking about. If you have been eyeing this foundation and the only thing that's kept you back from it is whether or not it's going to work for you, or I haven't seen many reviews on it, I don't know if it's really going to be good, I don't know if I should try it, and financially that's not the reason it's holding you back, then yes, I say definitely try this foundation. You can go to Nordstrom and they will, at least my Nordstrom will, scrape off some and give you a sample. So that might be something that you want to try to do. I'm sorry I keep looking in the monitor, but my autofocus has been really messing up lately. So I may have been out of focus for half this video and don't know, but I'm trying to keep up by looking in the monitor. That was a tip. There's a squirrel moment because I totally got sidetracked, but I would suggest getting a sample if you're able to, if you have a Nordstrom near you. But in my opinion and in my collection, I flipping adore this foundation. I wore it for 8 days in a row and didn't touch another foundation. And that's going to tell you how much I love it, because I got some good foundations. I'm looking at all of them right now. I always do this. And I just kept going back to this. I'm going to the beach tomorrow. I'm going to take this. I don't typically wear makeup when I go to the beach, but I'm also going back to Florida in July, and I will be taking this because it's travel friendly and I don't have to check it or put it in a little bag. So that's going to be a wrap. Hopefully this helped you in some form or fashion. This is probably going to be a 20-minute video anyways. Sorry about that for people that don't like long videos. But if you don't like long videos, you don't like my videos. So as always, be sure and subscribe and like before you leave if you don't want to miss out on any future videos. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.